no sweeteners. The World Health Organization warns everyone to stop using sweeteners. I'm Dr. Eric Westman, and this was sent to me. I'll give some comments about the World Health Organization. The World Health Organization sent out a new guideline saying that non-sugar sweeteners, or NSSs, non-sugar sweeteners, need to be limited, strictly limited. And the interesting thing about this release is that it says more than just limit the non-sugar sweeteners. It says include artificial sweeteners like those found in soft drinks available in grocery stores and restaurants. These should be limited. And now the actual detail of which ones is not named, unfortunately. They cite research that has been done in observational sorts of nutritional epidemiology studies. And then there's an interesting, this recommendation does not apply to personal care and hygiene products like toothpaste, skin cream, medications, low-calorie sugars, and sugar alcohols, which are sugar and sugar-derived containing calories and therefore not considered NSS. So now we're starting to get a little murky in which things should be limited. And then, of course, there's a warning about added sugars. So it's not just artificial sweeteners. The title is to stop using sweeteners. So embedded in this release, there's actually an advisory to reduce your sugary drinks, so that the latest guidelines have a limit on the amount of sugar you should have as well. And it shows how much sugar is in a soda and all this. So this was sent, I think, partially because it's so darn confusing, and because a low-carb keto diet that we teach, if you're one of my patients, I tell you it's okay to use anything but sugar, because I want to get you off sugar because of the metabolic consequences of having sugar. So the World Health Organization, and like the Centers for Disease Control or other kind of global societies, they've sort of bought into the old paradigm. The old paradigm being that we should restrict fat in the diet, and they still recommend against having too much fat, and saturated fat in particular. But now they add in the limitations on sugar. I think that's a good thing. But the idea that you want to limit the non-sugar sweeteners is a bit misguided and too much of an early trigger happy finger, if you will. It doesn't take into account the fact that so many people are addicted to sugar that there's a role for using a non-sugar sweetener to get people off of sugar, which is what I recommend on a prescription strength keto diet. And the research about these other types of sweeteners really has not panned out to show that they're bad. The studies that are cited here it's kind of like apples and oranges. They're using nutritive sweeteners or non-sugar sweeteners in the context of diets that still contain carbohydrate. So what I'm referring to is it's okay to use a non-sugar sweetener as long as you're not eating carbohydrate as well in the context of a low-carb diet. Think about it. If you're having a diet soda or a product that sweetens the water without sugar, and that's the only type of product that you have, you don't go back to sugar because that's not part of the plan. It's actually not going to make you go back to sugar because that's not part of the plan. You'll just stay to the sweetness from these other kinds of sweeteners. There's some newer ones that are coming out that are being studied that don't affect the blood sugar, don't affect the insulin, and some that don't affect the ketones either. But until they're studied in the context of a program, it's, use caution or caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Because if you do have tons of non-sugar sweeteners and then that keeps you having that sugar taste over time, there may be metabolic effects of overconsumption of these. The sugar alcohols are notorious for GI upset, and the other ones until they're studied in the context of a weight loss plan, or you can try them, but you have to be careful. In my experience, they're generally well tolerated unless you overconsume what would be typically, 2 or 3 servings of them per day. But these non-sugar sweeteners do not have the blood sugar elevation or blood glucose elevation. They do not raise the insulin level, and I'm still waiting for that study or several humans who have a rise in insulin because of these other sweeteners. I haven't seen it, even though it's an urban legend out there, kind of an internet meme that the taste can raise your insulin. It's called the cephalic phase of insulin release, but I don't think it's really very prominent or a large magnitude of effect. So if you have a sweetener, it makes you want another sweetener later in the day. That's not a big deal as long as you're staying away from the sugar. Now, for most people over time, if you stay on a low-carb keto diet, the urge to have sweet things will fade away. And that generally is what happens, but not in everyone. So not to worry about this World Health Organization warning. Even some of the studies that come out of the Lancet Public Health are the old paradigm, assuming that eating fat is bad, and even eating red meat is necessarily bad. I don't think that's a high level of evidence that they're citing. I don't think you have to worry about this, even though it's a World Health Organization sort of alarm about it. You want to stay away from sugar is the main message that is consistent with their guideline. I hope that's helpful. If you like it, please subscribe, ring the notification bell, send this to a friend. It's a grassroots effort. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and check out adaptyourlifeacademy.com.